everyone, thanks again for joining me. So today I'm going to try and paint quite a dramatic watercolour painting, and I'm using a few different reference photos and videos as my inspiration for this. I wanted to create something quite moody and quite dramatic, and I chose to paint this on the Winsor Newton rough grain 100% cotton in 140 pound paper, so it's giving a really nice texture there. The reference photos and drawings are available for you to download. So this is the reference photo, and this is also a little bit of the inspiration that I took quite a rough and dramatic sea, and I wanted to capture a couple of the waves, so I've chosen to use watercolour and gouache to do this. So it's a little bit of an experiment, but I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the results that I got from this. So I hope you do too, and please let me know, please like and comment. I do read all your comments, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and if you actually tried painting along with me. So before we begin, I'll go over the materials that I'll be using, and all of these will be listed down below for you. So I'm using my Winsor Newton watercolour palettes, and the main colours I'll be using are Payne's grey, mid blues and yellows to create this lovely dramatic painting, and a bit of turquoise as well. I'll also be using this quite inexpensive gouache to create some of the splashes and the waves there. My water bottle to create some movement, and before I actually paint the waves, I'll be masking off some of the painting using this masking fluid by Jackson's, and it's got a nice blue tinge to it when it dries, so you know where you're painting. And I use this soap in a tin to actually protect my water brushes from damage while I'm using that. The main brushes that I'll be using is my mop brush. I'll be listing these down below as well, and I've got a couple of brushes here, pointed brushes of different sizes that I'll be using also. And these are the brushes that we'll be using. I've just actually purchased these and I'm quite happy with them. They've got a lovely point, and they do hold quite a bit of water, so you can get a lovely movement on these brushes, and they don't seem to shred, which is brilliant. I will be also using a little bit of the waterproof fine liners just to create some of the railing effect on the water tower of the lighthouse, and that's the one that I'll be using, 005, which is really fine. Of course, I'll be using my trusty little water bath, and I absolutely love this actually. I purchased this, and I used to use 2 jars, but now I love this. It's got a little grate at the bottom, as you see, so it can actually clean off your brushes, and then you use these other 2 sides to wet your paint. So if you want clear, vibrant paint, and the one thing you don't want to do is to mix the dirty water with the paint that you're actually mixing in with your fresh paint. So it creates a lovely clear and crisp colour. And also it holds my paintbrushes out of the way. We're using a little rag as well to mop up any spills and some dabs. So let's begin. My main drawing, and again my drawing will be available to download on my Patreon channel, and what I'm going to do is outline the main areas that I don't want to cover with the washes. So I'll begin with my lighthouse, but I'll also be moving further down to the page where I'll be creating some of the splashes This usually takes about 15 minutes to fully dry, and I would actually let it fully dry instead of using a hairdryer, just so when you are painting over it, it's not still wet underneath and creating that movement, which you don't want, and that will actually ruin your paper. So the masking fluid is now dried, and I've zoomed in a little bit so you can actually see the sort of effect that I'm trying to create with the masking fluid. I wanted to create more of a kind of like dramatic crashing of the waves up against the rocks, splashing over the lighthouse, and you can see it's dried in a nice blue tinge, so you can actually get a great idea of where your painting will be protected. Here, I used a bit of yellow ochre to create sort of the sun come through the clouds there, either a sunset or a sunrise, but I still wanted to create a very moody, stormy effect. So I mixed together some Payne's grey and some mid-blue colours there to create kind of like a more darky and moody tones, and I've sprayed a little bit of water onto the page to create some movement here. And so this is the first wash, so I'll probably add a few more washes to create a bit more of a dramatic sky. dried. So I added another layer here, and I'm quite happy with this now. I've not quite let the horizon dry, as you might see in a moment that it starts to bleed. However, if that happens to you, all you need to do is use a wet, clean brush with clean water and run that across the page once it's dried, and just take that off and then reapply your horizon colour. Now I am using a mixture of mid blues and turquoise, which are mixed green and blues together, and I'm using this sort of motion of wiggly lines across the page with my flat brush to create some sort of movement in the water, and I'm mixing the blue and the greens together so it looks like there's a lot of depth there. card, and you can use your bank card, but I just found my little bit of a plastic bobbin that I use for my embroidery, and I'm scratching the paint to create the textures of the rocks there. And now what I'm using for the rock area is a mixture of Payne's grey and a bit of blue to create kind of the rock face here. And in the foreground I'm also using Payne's grey, mixture of mid-warm blues and some burnt amber to create a lovely dramatic shoreline. creating a little bit of shadow on the lighthouse, and for doing this I'm using a very watered down Payne's grey with a little bit of blue in there, and I've used a lot of water, so it's a very light mix, as I still wanted to show the whiteness of the lighthouse. So that's created that lovely shadow. I'm now using a thicker mixture of my Payne's grey to go around the areas where the little windows will be. now I'm adding the texture to the waves using a little bit more gouache there, and I'm using white gouache, but I'm also using a little bit of gouache mixed with a bit of blue to create a bit of like depth within the waves and a bit more foam. I'm using two techniques. One is actually to dab the paintbrush onto the paper. The other is to use quite a dry brush and to create sort of a flicking moment where you can actually see the paintbrush going across the page, but it gives a kind of like disjointed effect. It's not quite as smooth, and I wanted to do that purposely because obviously the waves are not smooth and I wanted to create that bit of drama. And you can see how lovely, if you can see that on camera, how it's created a lovely kind of like movement on the page there by using that kind of method. With that, I'm going to stop working on it now, and I really enjoyed this exercise. I hope you do too, and please like and comment, let me know what you think. I will read all your comments, I promise. All the reference photos and the drawings will be available on my Patreon, so you can check that out, and hope you enjoy. Take care.